Today I'm going to show you guys how to create this pink and gold polka dotted pattern text using the Define Pattern tool. This is a beginner's Photoshop tutorial, and hopefully by the end of this video you'll have a pretty good idea of how to use the Define Pattern tool to create your own pattern and use them in your designs. All the fonts, digital papers, and design elements used in this tutorial will be linked down below in the description for you. And if you don't already have Adobe Photoshop, you can download a free trial from the Adobe website. To get started, we're going to go up to File and New up in the left-hand corner here. Change the document size to 1280 by 720 pixels. That's the original size I used. And if you didn't know, that's also the default size for a YouTube thumbnail. And for a good print quality, you always want your resolution to be a minimum 300 pixels per inch. You are going to need gold digital paper for this project, and you can go to websites like pexels.com to get free resources for your projects. You might be able to find a gold background or digital paper that you like on there. But this particular set that I'm using here, I bought off Etsy, and it's something like 42 gold digital papers for like $2. And I will leave the link for that down below if you're interested. I'm going to click and drag gold paper number 5 into our project. So just drag and drop it like this. And drag one of the corners here outward to enlarge the digital paper, and hit enter when we're done resizing. Now for the fun part. We're going to define or create two different patterns that we're going to be using for this project. So let's go up here to File and New. Change the measurement units from pixels to inches, and your size for this canvas is going to be a very small 1 by 1 inch square. Again, the resolution at 300 pixels per inch, and click Create. Click on the little lock icon here in the Layers panel to unlock the background layer. Then we're going to click here on the Paint Bucket tool on the left-hand side. And on the bottom left-hand side here, click on the color swatches. This is the shade of pink that I'm using for the background. The hex code is F3A1B6. So we're gonna click on the background layer to fill it with that pink color. Now let's go to the Shape tool and select Ellipse. And hold down the Shift button while we click and drag to create a perfect circle. Then go up here and click on Fill. We're going to change the color to white. Stroke refers to the outline around the circle. We don't need a stroke, so we're just going to select None. Then click on the Move tool here on the left-hand side. And with the Move tool selected, we're going to click and drag our circle to the center. For this next step, I'm going to use the same gold digital paper that I used for our background at the very beginning. I'm just going to click and drag it into our Photoshop document. Hit Enter. And down here in the Layers panel on the bottom right-hand side, we're going to make sure that the gold paper that we just dragged in sits at the very top of the list of layers, above the white circle that we created earlier. Then right-click on the gold digital paper layer and select Create Clipping Mask. And here we have our gold polka dot. To turn this into a pattern, go up here to Edit and select Define Pattern. I'm going to name this pattern 5. click OK, and we've officially created our first pattern. I'm just going to go here to the layers panel and delete all of these layers and just leave the background layers so I can get working on the second pattern, which is going to be much easier and faster. For this pattern, I'm going to use gold glitter number 14 from that pack of digital papers that we used earlier. Just drag it into the document. And that is our second pattern. Go up to Edit, Define Pattern, and I'm going to name this Pattern 6. Now that we've defined our two patterns, let's go back to our original document. Click on the text tool and type out the word bakery. I'm using the font Autumn in November, and I will leave the link down below for that as well. Change the font size to 60 points and the tracking, which is the space between each letter, to 0. Click on the Move tool and center your text. Then here at the very bottom of the Layers panel, we're going to click on FX and select Pattern Overlay. And here when you click on this arrow, it'll show you all the patterns that you've created in the past. I've made a couple, so here you see all of those. This is pattern 5, which is the first one that we made. And you can change the scale of your pattern and angle, tweak the settings however you'd like. My angle is set to 140 degrees and my scale to 25%. Then we're going to go down here to drop shadow, and these are my current settings. The larger your text, the larger you generally want your drop shadow to be, and of course the smaller the text, the smaller the drop shadow. The last thing we're going to tweak is the stroke or outline around our text. So click stroke here on the left hand side. And these are my current stroke settings. We are using pattern number 6, which is the last pattern that we created for our stroke. Generally, when you go to edit or add a stroke, the fill type down here is by default set to color. So click on the drop down menu and change it to pattern. And to get this metallic gold outline, make sure that your scale is set to a maximum 1000%. If you make it smaller, it gives it a different type of more glittery, sparkly look, which also looks nice. One of my favorite things about designing is just kind of tweaking the settings, adding a bevel, changing the outline, and seeing what the outcome is of combining different effects. To me, that is probably the fun part of designing, is just seeing what you can create, and Photoshop has so many tools and so many effects that you can work with. But for this particular design, I do prefer the metallic gold outline. Click OK once you're done making changes. I think the only thing that's missing is the word Amy's at the very top. Let's go to the text tool and type out the word and change the color to white. For the name Amy, I'm using the font Angelica, and I actually got this font off a bundle of different cursive and script fonts that I purchased a couple of weeks ago. I will leave the link for that down below. Change the font size to 16. Click on the Move tool and drag your text to where it's visible, right above the word bakery. Then go down to the FX tool again here on the Layers panel. We're going to add a drop shadow. and reduce the opacity and bring the size down because the text is pretty small. Click OK when you're done making changes. I'm going to go in and increase the spacing between letters in the word bakery, so just highlight the word and increase the tracking size on here. And that's it for this video, guys. I hope you found this helpful. Let me know down below if you have any questions or comments, and like and subscribe for more content.